All right. Well, should we get started, guys? Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's make this zine reading official. Make it a real zine reading. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Perry. Perry is behind the scenes tonight, but she's the one that does pyrograph.com and also the Pyrograph YouTube channel here.
Hey, I'm psyched to be broadcasting you guys, and then I'm going to check out. Thanks, Billy.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Perry.
Got it.
Without Perry, I don't think this would be happening because I don't know how to do it. So it's cool. It's cool. 4 readers tonight. My buddy Ed is going to go first. He does a zine called Pencil of the Week. He does many, many zines. Some have his name, some don't. But Pencil of the Week has been the hot ticket for the last 6 months or a year or so. He lives out in Jersey City, just a river away from the coronavirus epicenter of New York. He writes a lot of different zines. Like I said, the most recent one that's really hot is Pencil of the Week. I never really cared about pencils. I was always a pen and marker person, but Ed makes me care about pencils, and I love that because not only does he talk about pencils, but he talks about his job, and I love work zines. So I don't know what he's reading from tonight, but whatever he does, it's always good. He also does a zine distro, the Word Distribution, which is a really good zine distro. So anyway, Ed, why don't you kick it off?
All right. Thank you for the introduction, Billy. Perry, thanks for putting this together. Donna, Julia, great to have you all with us. My name is Ed. I'm from Jersey City. I run the Word Distro. I've been making zines for a while, and I'm reading this one. It's funny that you mentioned it's about work, because this article is about work. Last year, I submitted something to We'll Never Have Paris. This one is the food issue, and I was really proud of this. I spent a lot of time doing it, and I really love this zine. Every year it comes out, I look forward to it, but this year is a little bit more. So, I'm reading this one because I'm giving a shout out to my other essential workers out there. And, my co-workers, this is dedicated to y'all.
It's
and I'll
not
be seeing
that
you
bad.
at work
Just
tomorrow morning. I'm not looking forward to it. But,
I mean, I see that.
So the title is Food Around the World. At the age of 26, I took a job at a small factory of about 20 people and was quickly immersed into a melting pot of cultures and languages foreign to my own. When people immigrate to this country, they bring a few things with them: language, tradition, music, maybe most importantly, food. I say food because of the countless times I've seen employees who don't speak the same language sharing a plate of food, making jokes, laughing at words they don't even understand. A fond memory of mine is when a Jamaican coworker shared with me how important Easter was to her and her family back home in her village. Each Easter, they get dressed up and go into town for church. Afterward, they pick up the traditional Easter bun, and it was the only day of the year the kids were allowed to get a soda. Easter is still very important to her here, and the only day a year that she drinks soda. For a long time, before working at the factory, it was easy to say that I enjoy Latin food. I now realize how broad of a statement that could really be. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to learn the difference between pan de bono from Colombia and pan de yuca from Ecuador. I can usually guess an empanada's country of origin based on what it looks like or what's inside of it. And I've even learned which employees eat frijoles and which eat habichuelas. Empanadas of all kinds, the best refried beans ever, dried and cured handmade Italian sausage, candy and dulces with different languages on the wrappers, Jamaican hot pepper sauce, strange looking and smelling luncheon meat sandwiches, guisadas galore, homemade spanakopita, Armenian pastries from a bakery in Los Angeles, breads and pans from all shapes and sizes, the best kielbasa and pierogies fresh from the smallest Polish delis in Linden, New Jersey, chorizo, chicharron, and my personal favorite, arroz con pollo. This is what lunches look like for the last 11 years. Throughout the years, I've punched the time clock with people hailing from Hungary, Ukraine, Moldova, Poland, Italy, Greece, Nigeria, Congo, Portugal, Brazil, Colombia, Guatemala, Ecuador, Venezuela, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and for the first 10 years of my employment, the company was owned by an Armenian immigrant. I'm sorry if there's any coworkers that I've forgotten about. Food has given us a way to connect and communicate like nothing else. While we don't often agree on which country is the best, food does give us a common platform for conversation. After all, the food is always prepared and shared with two of the most important ingredients, love and pride. Thank you.
I would like.
Cute. I like that.
And actually, since printing this, they've hired 2 sewers in the factory from Peru. And for 6 months, my boss was a guy from England. So I could tack 2 more onto that. And considering that I've never worked with more than 20 people, that's a lot of different countries represented, you know. If there was a place of like 400 people, that wouldn't be so, you know. But it's only been like 20 of us at any given time, so.
That made me really hungry, and it made me want to travel like everywhere.
It's funny when my dad immigrated to the United States. It was because he worked at like an international company, and he would run into a lot of people from a lot of different countries. And he said, "Oh, I really love this." And somebody looked at him and said, "Well, if you love it so much, you should probably just go to America. It's this all the time."
Yeah, there's some variety for sure in New Mexico, but the 2 years I lived in Baltimore and where I worked, I also had just like country after country after country, and it's so cool to have those experiences, get to meet new people, get new perspectives. Cool, thank you. More people on the on YouTube saying hello. Sky Kubaku just hopped on. Also, Orange Drink Music is on. I want to shout him out real quick because he did a show in his basement and live streamed it on YouTube a couple days ago. And it was awesome and fun and gave me a reason to know what day it is. So hopefully that's what this zine reading is doing for some other people. Give you something to do when you're sitting at home, staring at the TV, staring at the computer. So that was Mr. Ed. Thank you very much. Pause.
Thank you. Thanks, Billy. Thanks, Barry.
Alicia's here, but she doesn't want to be on screen, but she's clapping for you, Ed. So.
Hi, Alicia. Thanks for having me.
Our next reader for tonight is Donna Ramone. I just realized that for some reason my computer is like mirrored. So anyway, I don't know why that is, but Donna does a bunch of zines and zine writing and blog writing and all different stuff. She does a zine called Creepy Ephemera, which is different like Christmas stories that are awesome. And in me and Alicia's house, it's like the Christmas tradition, like set up the Christmas tree and read about how much like Donna hates Christmas or thinks it's creepy or thinks it's weird or just whatever. It's like some of my favorite zines. I wrote up a little intro for Donna. Let me see if I can find it. Donna Ramone used to live in California, but now she quarantines out in Salt Lake City. She is not quite an expert, but does know a lot about 2 of my favorite things, libraries and post offices. She's done a bunch of zines, including Creepy Ephemera, which usually comes out around Christmas. On top of that, she writes a column for Razorcake magazine. So everyone, please, out there in the internet world, welcome Donna Ramone.
Aw, thanks. Thanks, everyone. So hi, everyone. I'm Donna Ramone. I'm a columnist and the web comics editor for Razorcake. So Razorcake is a bona fide nonprofit. It's a volunteer-run fanzine operating out of Los Angeles, California that's going on 19 years strong. If you're into DIY punk and able, I highly recommend signing up for a subscription. It's 6 issues a year for only $15. Or you could just read all of our virtual output. It's free at razorcake.org, and you can follow Razorcake Gorski at all the places. My column is only available in the print version of the zine, but my other zines are freely available. They're either PDFs at razorcake.org, just search for Donna Ramone. And then the Christmas zines that Billy was talking about, I only do those for friends usually, so you'll have to become my friend on Instagram at Donna Ramone. You don't actually have to be my friend, you can just DM me. My reading today is actually a modified version of my column that's going to be in Razorcake issue 116, which should be out in May, unless we experience further societal collapse. So that being said, may I present the title of my next column, which is the 4 easy steps. It was inevitable, but someone in the group chat had sent everyone some complete medical bullshit amid the pandemic. It was dangerous, stupid advice, and I was terrified one of my friends would actually attempt them. I explained that drinking hot liquids every 20 minutes is not going to wash viruses in your mouth into your stomach, where stomach acid is going to burn them up. I let them know that gargling salt water isn't a cure-all antiseptic. The UV light from the sun does not kill the COVID-19 virus on clothing or surfaces. Not to mention, the cotton masks that we're all wearing only filter 3 to 10% of particles, and it doesn't make you immune. So if you also happen to have a stash of disposable N95 rated face masks, they should immediately be donated to healthcare professionals who desperately need them right now. Washing your hands, not touching your face, and not interacting with other humans is literally all we have to do. Hygiene and quarantine, that's it. There's no magic bullet to defeating a pandemic like a drug for malaria, and there's no secret way for us to be 100% immune to catching it, unless maybe going full Howard Hughes. Biology class definitely covered this, but if you're like me, alcohol consumption in your 20s completely destroyed those memories, but somehow kept the ones where you saw lower class brats play a parking lot in San Bernardino. Human brain, it's truly a marvel. So the way viruses work, be it the common cold, HIV, or Ebola, is by using your body's cells as hosts. So viruses are thousands of times tinier than cells, allowing them to attach themselves to a host cell, inject genetic instructions to make more viruses, and then those new viruses burst out of the host cell and then go infect more cells. What ultimately defeats a virus is your immune system developing antibodies that attach themselves to the virus and then kill it. Viruses can only gain access to the type of body cells that act as hosts through openings like your nose or your mouth or breaks in your skin. The COVID-19 virus has a lipid membrane that surrounds it, and it's that membrane that hand sanitizers and soap will dissolve and kills the virus before it can attach itself to a host cell. Hot soup or vinegar in your mouth is not going to destroy that membrane, and it's not going to stop it from attaching to a host cell. And that is because viruses work fast, they're incredibly small, and it's probably in your nose anyhow. I teach a class to first-year college students on information literacy, and one of my lectures is how to spot bullshit. My colleague and I developed a simple way to teach students how to properly critique the information they encounter every day, whether it's researching for a project or seeing an ad on Instagram. It's high time we all hone this skill, especially during the goddamn pandemic. So presented here, with a lot more swear words, is my landmark contribution to information science. These 4 easy steps will always prove if something is true. They're kind of easy-ish, and for some things, there's no way of knowing if everything is actually 100% true. Sorry. So you've run into some information. Congratulations, your brain can process and interpret signals from your 5 senses. In 2020, it's an incredible time to be alive. Along with physical information we can experience, written information that's recorded and bound together, we also have digital information. Digital information is easy to produce, it's easier to share, and nearly all of us are creating digital information constantly. This reading, right now, that we are doing, this is digital information. Because this information is generated by humans, however, it's subject to human flaws. So that means everything on the bias spectrum, from racism and greed and narcissism all the way to sincere misinterpretation or mistakes, gets folded up into the information that we encounter every day. Which is why I developed these 4 easy asterisk steps to help anyone always asterisk know if something you saw online is true. Number 1, was it fact-checked already? There are many credible websites and agencies out there that professionally fact-check information. PolitiFact covers political news and social media claims, which is going to be really handy in November. Snopes is still covering urban legends and general internet rumor mongering, and they've been doing it since 1994. Their trending stories right now are that Nostradamus, Sylvia Browne, Dean Koontz, and The Simpsons all predicted COVID-19. Hot damn. Wikipedia is by all means a solid source of information. Just be careful to check some of the sources, which should be linked. And, you know, you can also just do a web search for coronavirus, doomsday, asteroid hoax to see if someone debunked it. If someone credible has proven the information is true or false, then you might already be finished. But if you still aren't sure or you don't trust the sources you're getting the answers from, try step 2. Find the original source. Most information we encounter online is not original. Someone made that meme, someone said that quote, someone conducted that research, but the person we're getting the information from is just presenting or reporting on it. So get out there and find the origin and see what was being said yourself. If it says, a study conducted found drinking alcohol severely impacts getting good boners, go out there, find that study, read it. If someone claims that Trump said coronavirus is a hoax, then go find that speech and read it for yourself. And for the record, during a rally on March 2nd, he said that the Democrats criticizing his response to coronavirus was their new hoax, akin to the Russian election interference impeachment hoax. And also, he did an amazing job of containing the disease early, and that it's no worse than the seasonal flu. If you can't find the original source, usually that's a big red flag. And if you do find the source and it's the Weekly World News, then maybe it's best not to trust Bat Boy in this instance. And if you have no idea if you can trust the source that you found, then keep digging. So 3, read laterally, aka who is the original source? So when you find the original information, it's also wise to check to see if the original author is trustworthy. Read About Us sections. Do searches to see if they're experts in their field. See if they're funded by somebody shady. If they're giving medical advice and they say that they're a doctor, make sure that means that they're an ND and not a fake PhD in fucking mystical science. If they're an MD and they're telling your mom to buy their patented wrinkle cream, like Dr. Oz, then maybe you should double check that they're not a snake oil selling piece of shit. And when I was researching this, I just want to point out that I discovered that he was appointed by Trump to the Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Yeah, Dr. Oz. And I swear to God what I'm about to say is true. Another person on this council is Lou fucking Ferrigno, the guy who played the Hulk on the Incredible Hulk TV show from the 70s. These are the times we live in. So, see if a study on opioids was funded by a pharmaceutical company that produces opioids. If a news agency is only reporting on the economic effects of the coronavirus and insisting people need to get back to work, maybe check to see if they're owned by Rupert Murdoch or Sinclair Broadcasting Group or somebody else without morals. Look for the bottom line of the purpose of the author. Are they just trying to inform the public? Are they trying to make money? Are they trying to push their own agenda? Are they trying to gain fame? Always ask these questions. And lastly, circle back and repeat. It's easy to go out digging for good information, fall down the rabbit hole, and get lost in the cacophony of what's out there. Yet that never means that time was wasted. You still absorbed a lot of information in a way that is only going to further develop your ability to spot bullshit on the internet. If you don't find a solid answer about whether something is true or false, just try the steps again, but with all the new knowledge you gain. Change up the keywords and maybe seek alternative sources. If you're really into it, you can go to a library online now, or you can just give me a call After practice, this gets so much easier and faster, I promise. If you hit a wall because you just can't find anything, that's usually because it's false. If literally no one else is making these claims, or if it's only getting picked up by the same like circle jerk of sketchy sites, it's probably not true. And if you can't find anything plausible that supports the claim, then maybe it's not supportable. By the time this column comes out in Razorcake 116, I have no idea what the world is going to be like. It's harrowing to not know how the next day will play out. People are dying, jobs are lost, connections are cut, and all we are left with is the terror of an invisible threat that has invaded our every waking moment. The anxiety and stress is oppressive, and as of this moment, the future is bleak, it's alarming, it's ultimately unwritten. I understand that fear is exactly why misinformation spreads so rapidly. Having something new to help protect us feels really comforting and ultimately harmless, but it's not. It's dangerous as hell, and too many people have already died from misinformation already. Instead of random internet information, let's focus on community information. Be aware of what's happening at your local hospital. Follow infection numbers. Learn how epidemiologists and statisticians determine the infection rate and how they believe it'll play out. Listen to science podcasts. Learn ways to help those around you. Learn how your immune system works. Call out the bullshit when you see it. This is scary shit. It feels too simple, just washing our hands and staying home. But teaching myself about viruses made it feel less simple. Demanding we stay home and clean everything now kind of feels revolutionary. It made the act of social distancing definitive and necessary. It made it true. And if we know what's true and real, then we know how to defeat it. Because we will defeat this. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome, Billy.
You do such a good job of making me laugh and cry in the same article.
I do my best. Thank you so much. And thank you to Perry and Paragraph TV so much for taking the time to host this and figure out all the pieces of YouTube.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. If you were just joining in, we're being hosted by Paragraph. Go to paragraph.com. If you've never been to that website, it's a website where artists talk about art stuff. So it's sort of similar to Razorcake in that sense, where you have musicians talking about music, or you have writers talking about writing. So it's very cool. Also, I think underneath on YouTube there should be links to the four of us of different websites. So if you're watching at home and want to check out some of our stuff, that's how you can do that. Shout outs to more people. Markel West is on. Bill Scanlon is on. Who else did I say? Oh, I just saw Anna Jo Beck said that stuff is only backwards on my computer. So you guys probably thought it was weird when I said that things looked backwards, but on my computer they look backwards. So I'm glad they look normal to you.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm going to read next. I'm going to read two different things. Hopefully it's long enough that Julia can finish getting ready in case they have
I'm
anything
ready
else.
now. I have this thing, and it makes me fall asleep sometimes. And I fell asleep at 6. I was like, surely I will be up by 8. I was not.
You kind of were.
Barely. That's like what we linked up at like 7:40, and I woke up at like 7:38.
That's awesome. I've worked a lot of swing shift jobs where I just sleep an hour here and an hour there, and like setting random alarms on my phone is a necessary thing sometimes. Jess Hogan just said I'm weird, but I think Jess Hogan is weird out in Kansas City, so there. I'm going to read, and then Julia is going to read. I'm going to be reading two things. I made a little zine this week called The New Normal, which when I hold it up to the camera looks backwards to me, but you guys can read that, I guess. This is a 1/10 size zine, which I've never made before. I printed out on a sheet of paper with horizontal lines, and then I cut it this way and then lay it on top and cut it, and I end up with 10 pages, which I've never done a zine like this, so this is kind of cool. The new normal. The new normal is virtual meetings. No more hugs and kisses. That shit is old-fashioned. No more physical contact. No more sharing an elevator. No more kissing strangers. The new normal is waiting in line at the grocery store. Not in line at the register, but in line outside the store. Like it's a trendy new nightclub with a bouncer at the door. The new normal is wearing a mask and gloves when you leave the house. Then using hand sanitizer after touching anything. Then spending the next week convinced that you caught coronavirus anyway. The new normal is judging people based on how much toilet paper they buy. 1 or 2 packs is sensible. 3 or 4 seems a bit much. Anything more than that, and this is the type of person who is ruining our country. The new normal is feeling guilty over nothing. How unfair that I am healthy. How unfair that my savings will last a month or 2. How unfair that other people have it worse than me. The new normal is thinking every ailment is a symptom. Slight cough, runny nose, itchy scalp. God damn, I'm gonna die. The new normal is never making plans for anything anymore. Never taking trips, never visiting family, no sports, no concerts, no theater, never buying tickets for anything ever. The new normal is discussing what normal means. How many times something has to happen for it to feel normal, how long something has to go on for it to feel normal, how long until we accept it, and whether or not we should accept it. The new normal is waking up every day and saying, well, this sucks, but what the fuck can we do? And then just living each day the best we can. Thank you.
Aw.
Clap for myself.
Yeah, really.
Thanks. I'm also going to
Well,
read.
it's like, it's such a bummer. Like, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird because it's weird being quarantined. On the one hand, I can just make as much art as I want. On the other hand, we'll see how long I can pay for rent, you know? So, we'll see what happens. I'm going to read from Proof Exist 31. I wrote this in March after traveling to Oakland in February, back when we still had hope. We could still travel to places. I had a really great time hanging out with my friend Gina and Michael out there. For one of the days, I got to give you a little background on what this thing I'm going to read is. We went to the Oakland Museum, and it was really great, and they had an exhibit on Burning Man, which is the big festival out in the desert where all these artists like get all crazy for a week. That got canceled this year, of course. But anyway, in February in Oakland, there was an exhibit all about Burning Man, and there's all these different pictures and a documentary, and there's all these different costumes. And at some point, my friend Gina was like, wow, like these costumes are great. It reminds me of the shoes you're wearing. Your shoes would totally look great with these costumes. And immediately I just took off my shoes and put them up on the pedestal next to one of the costumes. And then my shoes were in the display at Burning Man exhibition. So this zine is all about that fiasco, and I am going to read from that now. Thank you. Here we go. For many years, I dated a brilliant artist, and every time we'd go to an art museum, she would inevitably become enraged at one thing or another. You know those paintings that are one color, black canvas, or red painting number 1, or some other such thing? She hated those. Mop in a bucket, the sign would say, and you would look, and there was a mop in a bucket. What the fuck kind of art was that? She would scream. Anyone could do that. Who puts this in a museum? I would nod in agreement, but internally I was very amused. Her reaction, that was the art. Painting a white canvas white and then getting it into a museum for millions of people to look at for the rest of time is tougher to do than you might think. As Andy Warhol once said, art is what you can get away with. Who decides what is really art? Well, museums do. If they put it on display, it's art. But also artists. If they say it's art, then it's art. But also the general public. If they say it's art, then it's art. But what if they say it isn't art? Too bad, it's still art. Anything and everything is art, that's the point. Discussing whether or not something is art defeats the purpose because the discussion itself legitimizes the art. Now, is it good art? That's a different conversation. This is what people who go to Burning Man understand, and that's what Burning Man tries to encourage. In some ways, it's very difficult to go to Burning Man. It's expensive, it's a desolate location, it's hot, and the wind blows sand in your eyes, yada, yada, yada. It's much easier to just stay home and be an artist. But sometimes it's hard to be an artist at home. We get stuck in our daily lives, making rent, paying bills, a rut, a routine. It may be difficult to pay for and attend Burning Man, but once you get there, you have no responsibilities, no rules. If you want to ride a bike at 3 a.m. while eating mushrooms, then fine, do that. No one will stop you. Some creative artists made some amazing outfits and they wore them at Burning Man. Those costumes had a history and now they were on display in a museum, elevating the prestige yet again. A whole new group of people, most of whom had never been to Burning Man, would now admire them. But some hardworking person had made my shoes as well. Designed them, decided on the colors, decided on the shape. They were just as much a work of art. My shoes had always looked great, but now that they were on a pedestal in the Oakland Museum, they really looked special. Ted and I moved to a different part of the museum, both of us having made the decision to disassociate ourselves from the great art shoes prank of 2020. We went along discussing the other displays, but I was obviously distracted. What was going on in the room behind me? Had the museum staff taken notice of my shoes? Had some hip-to-the-scene museum goer caught on? Hey man, those shoes aren't from Burning Man. I can somehow tell. Mostly, I was just walking around looking at other people's feet. Every single person was wearing shoes. Flip-flops or sandals at least. Not me, just socks. Plain black socks and a pair of long pants. Had I been wearing shorts and a pair of striped socks like I'd worn the day before, I suspect someone would have noticed. As it was, no one said a thing. I had been without shoes for a good 30 minutes now and even had a nice conversation with a museum employee, but no one had noticed that I had no shoes. Gina caught up with us with a huge smile on her face. My mom thinks you're the funniest person she's ever met, she said. I showed them your shoes and they couldn't stop laughing. Maybe that's not an exact quote, but that's how I remember it. Putting my shoes on display was funny, yes, I knew that now. And when Gina found it amusing, that only served to encourage me. That's the only reason I left them. But now that I realize I had also gained the admiration of the older members of our group, well, let's just say that although I hadn't done it to impress them, I was quite pleased with the idea that perhaps I had. These three ladies were the aging artists. They were so cool. When I was a reckless 20-something punk rocker, I bought into that live fast, die young stuff. But the truth is, someday I want to be 100 years old, still making weird art, weird songs, doing weird things. These ladies were a few years ahead of me, but I felt an instant bond with each of them. The six of us were outcasts in our own way, but we all loved art and we were happy to experience it together. Jackie came around the corner, walked over to me. She grabbed me by my shoulders and looked down at my feet, almost as if to confirm what Gina had told her. She burst out laughing and gave me a huge hug. Those are your shoes! Oh my God, what a riot! She hugged me again, and right then I knew it was all worth it. If I got into trouble or if I didn't. If I went back to retrieve them or I didn't. Even at this very moment, museum staff might be figuring out what had happened. They might be throwing my shoes in the trash bin right now, but it was all worth it. I did something silly, and other people thought it was funny, and a lot of days go by when a person is never granted such satisfaction. Thank you.
Such a rebel, Billy.
Oh, I know.
So did you get him back?
That was my last day in Oakland, and I walked out of that museum in my socks, and I went and got on a plane, and I flew back to New Mexico with no shoes, which actually made things a lot quicker at the airport. And then Gina, a week later, went back to the Oakland Museum, and they were still on display a week later. So they at least lasted 1 week. It's a traveling show, so it has now been taken out of the Oakland Museum, and I don't know if my shoes will make it to the next city, but for at least a week, people were looking at my shoes, which I think is funny.
Oh, man. That is awesome.
Power move.
Okay.
I wish I'd known. I majored in art history, and I would have written an entire thesis on this.
That's amazing.
What is art?
Billy's shoes is art.
Lots of people saying hello on YouTube. Hello to everybody. Eric W., Bill Scanlon, Lee, everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh.
Oh.
Ed says hello in New Jersey. Donna and Julia. Bloomington and Salt Lake City. I feel very fortunate, and it's kind of funny that the quarantine made this happen, because I feel like the four of us is like a superstar lineup that would never happen in real life. It's like four people from four different cities like reading. Is so cool.
This is cool. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah. Appreciate you putting it together, because I'm bad at these things.
You're good at everything you do, Julia. Shut up.
So for Quarantine Fest, we did some readings on my distro's Instagram, and everything was going really well, and everything was kind of like we had people just logging in for one account. And then Marina, who is totally on YouTube right now, I think, fell asleep because they have the same thing I do, and totally missed their time slot. Ended up going live at like 3 a.m. Eastern, and then it was just up on our Instagram profile for people to watch later. It's on brand.
I hope Marina is watching, and shout out to Marina if they are. I met them in Oakland, and it was awesome. I'm glad you mentioned missing things, because if anybody misses this, we are going to post it tomorrow on the same channel. So if you missed the beginning, you can watch it later. If you want to send it to friends or whatever, I'm going to try to figure out the audio and put it. I do like an audio zine distro at funnyears.bandcamp. So I'm going to try to put the audio up as an audio zine reading. So if you missed it tonight, you can watch it later. We have one reader left, Julia F. Julia F. has moved around a lot, but is currently residing in Bloomington, Indiana. They write a lot of different zines, usually with scratchy handwriting and beautifully stark layouts. They recently wrote a whole zine about what to do if your cat has asthma. And long before we had this crappy pandemic, Julia has been running Crap Pandemic Zine Distro. That's a pretty good segue, right? Here's some of their zines.
Right.
Look at all these. Oh
my God, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Please virtually welcome Julia F.
All right.
I think I might shut I'm sitting here because I live directly across the street from train tracks, and the trains have been really wild and out lately, and I should probably just shut that, because a train went by and it sounded like it was in my room, because there's just a window. But yeah, I don't know if I want to read my pandemic zine. Should I read my pandemic zine, or should I read some out of my cat asthma zine? Both of them.
Alicia says both of them.
I also vote both.
I don't.
How long are they? 1 million pages long?
They're all. Yes. It's just me.
Whatever one you want, it'll be great.
Okay. Shit. I don't know. Because I read from the sad one, the sad pandemic-y one. This was called "It's Time I Had Some Time Alone." And yeah, I think I might read from that maybe. No. Well, I'm gonna talk about my cat. Her name's Parsnip. Yeah. Hi, Alicia. Yes, I wrote a post that you think your cat has asthma. It's good even if your cat doesn't have asthma, because it's mostly just about my cat, because she's really sweet and I love her. So yeah. So you think your cat has asthma, which, to be fair, it might. Extended title. So Parsnip is my cat. I found her at a Pet Value in rural Southern Maryland when she was like 6 months old. She'd been at the shelter so long with no interest that they put her at Pet Value as some sort of last-ditch effort to get her adopted, because she couldn't find a family. She was going to be destroyed, which is shelter speak for they're going to put her down. So I adopted her because, even though we were moving actually in 3 days and the house was full of boxes and our other cat was already super pissed, I couldn't just leave her there because she was such a baby. When I walked up to the cage, she was hooting and chirping and peeping and patting at me and rolling in her own poop stand like it was freshly fallen snow. but it wasn't. It was full of poop. And she's disgusting, and she's my child, and I adore her. And then when I tried to walk away, she started making what I now recognize is the bad cry. TM. You know, that's the one that she makes when I give her to put her in the car. The one that sounds like, "Can you not park the chair right now, ma'am?" She's being naughty as we speak. I'm sorry. Can you not? Like, we're talking about me. Why? But yeah, I had to adopt her because, like, come on, that's my cat, you know? She's disgusting. She's a baby. She's so small and cute. She wants to come home with me, and I can't leave her there because they're going to kill her. And we almost named her Pumpkin, Turnip, Maple, Sweet Pea, Summer Squash. We went through a lot of food names. I just started calling her different names until one stuck. And her nicknames are TB, Baby Bunny, Peep, Bun Bun, Pea Snizzle, Particle Board, Barnacle, Nipple, Sniff, Snip Snip, the Snee, Princess Queen, Goblin Queen, Baby Queen, Bug, Snapple, Bippy, Baby Squirrel, Bip, Turkey, Bip Bip, Baby Bean, and sometimes I call her just Bean. You know, she's got one name. She's not like a cat. Some people give their cat like a first, middle, last name, but she's just got the one name, like, Cher or whatever. But she's got like a billion nicknames. I'm so happy she could join us. Oh, hi. Anyway, my best friend had to lie to the shelter and pretend to be our absentee landlord that we were moving away from because our landlord was absentee as hell, and I couldn't get a hold of him. And so even though my friend Hayden was at work, he still picked up the phone for the shelter because, it's cat, she don't fuck around. So I brought the cat home, and she was so tiny. She's much bigger now, but at the time, she was just like this little 6-month-old being. And she could sit entirely on my one shoulder, like a little pirate cat. It was so cute. And I made her a bed in an unused bathroom trash can tipped over on its side with like a towel in the bottom. And she was just happy to go in there. And it was the right size for her. And she was such a baby. And I noticed right away that she had this little bit of a cough. Like, I would hear her do it in other parts of the house sometimes. So after her first, like, "Hi, just got a new cat, like, please look at it, check up." I brought her back after like a month because, like, I think she might have an upper respiratory infection from being in a shelter or something because she's coughing, it sounds terrible. Feline asthma has this real specific cough. It's short, wheezing, choking, hacking sound like they can't fucking breathe because they can't fucking breathe. It's shortness of breath, and it lasts anywhere from 10 seconds to over a minute, and which it's just as terrifying as you think it is. It sounds like they're coughing up a hairball, but then nothing comes out. Like, there might be some weird, foamy, bitty shit at worst, and they just swallow it back down again. The cat in question might hide behind furniture to do it, or get overcome in the middle of whatever they were doing, and get as low to the ground as possible, which is something I call trick pose. Like, if it was a yoga pose, it would be trick pose. Because they get as low to the ground as possible so their legs do the thing, and then they stick their neck all the way out and then cough and wheeze persistently in this desperate, rapid, like, rhythmic fashion. And sometimes they also, like, swing their little heads side to side in slow-mo, but not all of them do that part. So it can happen once in a while or a bunch of times a day. And prior to medication, Parsnip was having up to 10 attacks a day, which is fucking terrible. Parsnip in particular will also sound like she has a frog in her throat afterwards, like laryngitis, and like she's got a mouthful of mucus or something. Like, she'll try to meow or purr and it just gets stuck in there and she just sounds all like mouth, terrible, horrible. I'm so happy that this is the zine I get to read to y'all with my wonderful cat asthma demonstration. So I brought her back to the vet, like, yo, there's something wrong with my child. And they were like, nah, Pam, it's probably just a URI from being in the shelter. Here's some medication. If it fixes it, it's a respiratory infection. If it doesn't, it's something else. And I'm like, I really think it's fucking asthma, bro. I looked this up, man. And they were like, nah, just wait it out. And the medication didn't fix it. And I'm an idiot. So I was like, well, maybe cats just cough sometimes. Maybe this cat just coughs a lot. And, you know, I'm not a catologist. Maybe it'll blow over. And then they didn't. So we returned to the vet. Because I'm dumb, but I'm not fucking stupid. And I was like, yo, I think my cat has asthma. I took a diary of all the times it happened, how long it happened for, and what she was eating and doing all day. Maybe she's allergic to the food that we're feeding her or something, you know? Like, please, look at my documentation. Like, I was documenting this shit on a Nat Geo special presentation level. I didn't have a job. I had a job, but I was only working like 5 to 10 hours a week. I had time. What else was I going to do, you know? Like, and they were like, cool. It's not asthma, though. And I was like, bruh. Don't you fucking, come on, dude. I moved that chair from Buffalo, New York to Southern Maryland, where I got her, and can you fucking stop? To Virginia. And then now we're in Indiana now. I've moved this chair cross country like 4 times, and she's never clawed it before. And now, just in the last couple of weeks, she decided that it's like time to claw the chair. It's the shit. And I'm like, can you stop? You're fucking done. It's horrible. It's like having a rearview mirror on her chaos. And anyway, the point was that was like fine, and they gave her a steroid if that makes you feel better. If this fixes it, it's probably asthma. And I was like, thank you. And Parsnip was like, tag casing, because she had to get a shot. The steroid, which I wrote out the scientific name. We're gonna try. Methylprednisolone sodium acetate, aka Depo-Medrol. Made her lethargic for a few hours and then real thirsty, but she loves drinking water anyway, so she had a nice little nappy nap and stayed hydrated. Then came the boundless kitty energy, like, you know, you just gave an 8-month-old cat some steroids. And it worked for like a month. According to the vet, it would last anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks, and I think the first round lasted 5 or 6 before the cough started back up. First it was 1, and then it was within about a week, it was back to multiple attacks a day. Although, you know, it still wasn't as bad as prior to the steroids. So I took her back in, and I was like, yo, I think this is asthma. Can we talk about some long-term treatment? And the vet was like, whoa, we don't know that. We'll give her more steroids. And I was like, I did some research, my guy. I'm sorry. I don't think that's a long-term solution here. Cats have livers, you know? They're very delicate. They're very sensitive. And the vet was like, whoa, we'll give her some more steroids. And I was like, I just don't want her to cough because she's my child and she's so distressed and it makes my heart hurt. And I was like, okay, we'll juice her again, though. And I was like, fine, because, you know, I don't control the cat drugs. And Parsnip was like, fat kitty face because she got another shot. And then when we got home, our other cat was hitting her because she smelled too strongly of vet. Because the vet tech used about 12 gallons of Bath & Body Works hand lotion immediately before grabbing her to give her the shot. So she had to have a bath, too, after that, which you can't give cats baths. And she was so betrayed. Sad kitty face. And then another 5 weeks almost to the day, we had to go back because the steroids stopped working. Almost like it's fucking asthma. High-dose injectable steroids aren't a long-term solution for cat asthma because cats can't stay on the hard stuff too long because their livers are delicate. And for asthma, it'll cause more cumulative long-term health problems, leave them on them forever, you know? They can get like UTIs and diabetes, increased susceptibility to fungal infections, loss of muscle mass, obesity, skin irritation, increased cholesterol, and fucking Cushing's disease, among other things. So low dose steroids even need consistent monitoring, so like not bad though. And most cats with urine asthma actually end up on some form of bronchodilator. I pronounced that correctly. Which is a drug to open up their airways. And a low level of glucocorticoids, which are anti-inflammatory steroids, at the lowest possible dose to like maintain them. There's a lot of like fun medical stuff in this, and I got to go back through her medical records when I was writing it, and it was like 5 weeks to the day, and I was like, yeah, dude, like I was right. But yeah, there's more, and then I explained how the mechanisms of how steroids work. I'm not going to get into all that, but you know, we didn't have steroids yet, because I would not believe. So I brought her back in with actually videos that I had taken of her having these attacks, like multiple videos, and they finally agreed to look at them. And after they looked, they were like, "Oh, that's not great," and they finally agreed to X-ray her. Which, if you've never seen a cat get X-rays, it involves taking the cat into the bathroom and putting the cat in a specially designed cat switching machine. And then they cry a lot because they want their parent. And then they get squished and basically pushed into place so they can be held still while X-rays are being taken. Also, if you've never seen toddlers get CAT scans, like an MRIs and stuff, like human toddlers, not like toddler cats. That's really funny. And look up pictures of that. They go with like a teeth. You know, the cat squishy machine is kind of like that. She had to have X-rays. Lo and fucking behold, there's thickening in her bronchial tubes and lungs. The cat has fucking asthma. But that was, yeah, we shouldn't be seeing kind of thick stuff in a cat. This, blah, this is really severe, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bruh, I told you for fucking months ago it was asthma, and you did not listen, and here we are, bitch. Anyway, then they gave her another round of injectables, despite me repeatedly asking for another option, but she has asthma, so you know. And then 5 weeks later, when it wore off again, I had to drag her back in, and I was like, motherfucker, please, we can't keep doing this. Every time I bring her in and take her back home, our other cat attacks her, because she smells like vet, because your tech doesn't know the meaning of scent-free, and she reeks of stress from you sticking needles in her butt. And Parsnips was like sad kitty face, because it's very stressful to be a cat sometimes. And the vet was like, we can't keep doing this. And I was like, for the love of God, thank you. Jesus fucking Christ, finally. And she got put on the lowest possible dose of oral steroids, and I squirt them into her food every other day. I'm fine, she hasn't caught on yet. But Parsnip was still like sad kitty face, because I had to give her a bath honeymoon when we got home. And I had to take all the Senate stuff out of the house, because she can't do like blade plug-ins. And yeah, anything like high pro fragrances like scented candles and stuff she can't do. I have to vacuum and dust and sweep and stuff a lot more. And now she's on this dummy expensive litter too. I didn't know there was litter for asthma. There is. Yeah, it's got feline attractants or something in it. I don't know. She rolls in it really a lot. It's like her new favorite thing. You put new litter in the box, and she just like gets in it and spits. Like she's all about that life. And she's a fucking poop gremlin, and you know, whatever. And she's on a grain-free diet and has a water fountain because she's fancy. And we live in a place with all hardwood floors now, and I change the sheets a lot and sweep and dust and pet her all the time and tell her how lovely she is. But I'm not yelling at her to stop falling in the and what a beautiful, smart little baby buggy butt. What a thoughtful, caring little baby squirrel. Because she wakes me up every morning by gently touching my face and keeping and just wants to sit next to me in my chair and read books. And she loves the laser pointer and runs up and down the ladder to our bed at night at high speed in the middle of the night and makes a noise when she hits the ground and shakes the whole bed, but it's fine. That's exercising. And you know, what can you do? That's all you can really do when you got a cat with asthma, you know? And then there's a cheat sheet, like you buy me, about advocating for your cat's kick, because that's the whole point of the zine, and what I wanted to get across of it was I kept running into this with the vet because I was not secured advocating for my cat as a, like, this is my cat and I must own it thing. So advocate for your fucking pet. If there's something wrong, you live with them. The vet doesn't. The vet's gonna see him for like 5 minutes top and just like, you know, do the thing with their feet and whatever, and then be like, oh yeah, cat's fine, and that's not fine. So document everything, and fight for your animal. And also, COVID-19 update. Wash your damn face. Wash your damn hands when you come home. Maybe reconsider kissing your cat on the face for a while. Because COVID is apparently that some of the tigers in the brown zoo or whatever tested positive for it. Which is kind of wild. So, yeah. I'm gonna go yell at the cat some more for clawing the chair. I'm sorry everybody had to witness that. It's horrible. I love it so much. Oh, what's that cat's name? Oh my
Yay! Yay!
Hey, what's that?
That's Ashes.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Yes.
so cute.
He was intently listening to your story. He's had some medical issues himself. Luckily, his lungs are healthy, but he's been through a lot himself.
Yeah, I started a job at a grocery store because nowhere else was hiring, and I was unemployed for a couple months and everything. And like, I was getting really worried about money that the grocery store was hiring. So I've been like really paranoid because like I don't want to drag anything home to my asthmatic cat, the respiratory flu that has been popping up in felines too. So I'm just like, shit, dude. And then she wakes me up by sticking her whole head in my mouth in the morning. I'm like, this is how you're gonna get sick, baby.
Hey Julia, Alicia says that you did a very good job pronouncing those hard technical words.
Oh yeah, Alicia's a vet tech, right?
Yeah.
But I'm unscented.
And Alicia says she's unscented when she goes to work. She doesn't wear Bath and Body Works
Oh
perfumes
my
and
god,
whatnot.
thank you. Because that seems to be like our vet in Maryland for our other cat too. Which like, I'm like, can you not cucumber melon before you apply it to the cat? The only scent I wear is for like pheromones.
Okay, that's the end of our zine reading, everybody. Thank you so much to the readers. Thank you to Perry and Pyrograph. Thank you to Larry Stevens, whoever that is. Thank you to Jill Carroll down in Florida. Everyone for watching. We might do this again. We don't have any plans to, but we might do another one because this was pretty cool and pretty fun. So, any parting thoughts, anybody?
I just want to say thanks for having me. Stay safe, everyone.
Donna?
I was just going to say thanks to Kurt Morris for tuning in.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. I had such a good time.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Oh my gosh, I love them all.
I know, right?